Sharky Gamer here. So today we're going to take a look at this awesome replica I am holding. This is of course the Gears of War Chainsaw Lancer replica by NECA. And look at this full-size replica in all its glory. It looks amazing. It's a really impressive looking replica. Now this was released around the same time as Gears of War 2. When NECA made this, they actually based the detail and how the actual Lancer looks off the actual 3D model data out of the game. So this is basically a true to replica of the game, since they used the same kind of details to make it. So it is a really kind of true to game replica, and it looks just as impressive as the one in the game. Now there are two different versions of this. This is actually like the more realistic version that's got all that blood splatter just there, as you can see. But there's actually another version as well, and this other version is basically covered just gold. It's just solid gold color, and that is like the gold Lancer version of this. A lot of people seem to have the gold version, and I think it's because it was Amazon originally had like some kind of bundle going where you could buy the gold Lancer as well as the Gears of War 2 game at one point for like a special price, and I think a lot of people got that kind of bundle. But this is the realistic version. I think this version looks so much more cooler than the gold version, because the gold version doesn't have all that cool blood splatter on it. And I think that blood splatter really does make it look really awesome. It really does. So on both sides, it just makes it look really cool. Okay, so first thing with this Lancer, it is very detailed. I'll take a closer look. As you can see from the front there, you can see all the blades and all the blood splatter on the handle just there. Just blood everywhere. Looks like you've been killing some locusts or someone with this recently. It's covered in their blood. But even if you look at the actual gun itself, details of the gun just up the top there, the details are really impressive. Little areas, top of the gun. I'll just whip this around. That's the other side of the gun. Just hold this the other way. This thing is very large, so it's very hard for me to get it all in frame at the one time. But that's the other side of the gun. More blood. You can see that handle, how much blood it's got there. It's pretty awesome. So like I said before, this is pretty heavy. The best way to hold it is of course by the handle, and the other way, of course, the other hand goes under here in that grip, and you kind of hold it just like you would do like an assault rifle. That's usually the best way to hold it, and this gives you quite a good grip underneath there. Of course, if you were really fighting locusts, your hand would be covered in blood, as indicated by all the blood splatter there. But yeah, that is usually the best place to hold it, because it's fairly top heavy. So the front is definitely more heavy than the back. So it's very hard to hold it with one hand, because it is fairly heavy from the front end. There is another way you can hold it though. If we just turn this completely over, I'll try show this into frame. You've got this handle just here. This handle goes that way and flips up. And of course you can slide it all the way forward, in the center, or at the end. What does this do? Well, basically if you want to hold it by this, you put it in an area, say you want it in the center, you can grab it by the handle, and you can grab it by there. And that's how you'd hold it, like that. And push it all the way there, and hold it. So it's exactly like the game. In the game you can hold it by this handle too to use your chainsaw, so you can use it just as well. So that handle there is basically optional. If you don't want it, you can just slide it up and fold it so it's out of the way, but it's there if you want it. Now there's another cool thing. I'll just move this handle out of the way. Down here, this is the ammo box. I'll just turn this around so you can see this a bit better. This is basically the ammo box just here. As you can see. Now this thing actually folds up. This thing goes that way, and this is why you need that handle out of the way, because if you have the handle there, this can actually stop it moving. So you just move that out of the way, and then you can actually just pull this out. It can be a little bit hard to get out sometimes. There we go. So that's the ammo box. You can see there's the logo there. You've got blood on the bottom of it. Very detailed. More blood on that side. And it's kind of empty in the center. And that's what the Lancer looks like without it. So you can see sort of the edge of the chainsaw. Looks kind of weird without it, actually. Like if I do this, looks kind of weird without the ammo box. Looks like something's missing out of it. And of course, installing it in again is pretty simple. Just make sure that's out of your way. Line these grooves up, and you do have to line it up, otherwise it can be a bit of a pain to get back in if you don't. And you sort of just push it back in once you got it. This thing clips back up, that goes there, and that shuts just there. And then again, it's back to the way it was. So you can virtually just use this as a replica, like this. That's what it looks like from that angle. You can sort of aim with it too. You can align those sights up, as you can see. So it's pretty cool. But there is, of course, one more feature to this, and that is the sound effects. So under here, just there, is a battery compartment. Now that takes 3 C-sized batteries, so you just install all 3 size, and what that does is that actually enables the chainsaw to actually have a sound effect, which is sort of like a motorized chainsaw. And it also has some vibrations right here on the front handle part. So this whole underneath part, when you're holding it, you can actually feel a bit of vibration. It's meant to sort of replicate, so if the chainsaw is actually working and you're actually using the chainsaw, so it sounds just like a motorized chainsaw, and it kind of vibrates too. Now you trigger this by, of course, just using the trigger. So when you pull the trigger, it triggers the sound. The more you hold the trigger, it sounds like a continuous chainsaw sound. Now I'll just pull this a little bit away from the microphone because this can get pretty loud, and I will do it. So as you can see, or hear should I say, it's pretty loud. Especially when you hold it down. When you hold it down, it gets incredibly loud. But the vibration you can feel under here, like when I was pulling that trigger, I could feel it vibrating underneath the handle here. And it does feel like a bit of vibration. And I mean, when you hold it down, it really does sound like a chainsaw. You kind of just, you know, want to do a bit of something like that, to replicate, you know, you splitting apart a locust or something like that. But it's pretty cool in that regard. So the sound is kind of a nice little bonus. A couple of side notes, like I mentioned before, this is pretty heavy. So like when you're holding it, you know, if you try to hold it with one hand, you're probably not going to be successful. Best hold it either 2 hands like this, or use the handle. And going to the handle on the other side again, I personally feel like this one I never use when I'm actually holding it, because it just, it feels so fragile. Like, I don't know if you can hear that. It feels so weak when you're holding it. It feels like if you hold it too much or you use it too much as the handle, it's going to break. And I haven't really been brave enough to actually use it more than I have, just in case it does break. Because it feels a bit weak. It feels like that connection just there, it is a bit weak, and it does feel a bit more plasticky. And it makes me afraid to hold it like that, just in case it's going to break. But of course, you know, if you're game, of course you can. But just to me, it does feel like that is a weak point of this actual replica. So overall, the Lancer it feels sturdy. It's a quality replica. I mean, it looks amazing. But just note, this is plastic, so it does feel a bit plasticky when you're holding it. And you know, if you squeeze at certain places, you can kind of hear the plastic creak. So this is plastic. There's no doubt about that. But having said that, it looks good, and it still feels like a quality replica made by NECA. So overall, it's a great replica of a chainsaw lancer. It really does look like the lancer from Gears of War. So if you're a Gears of War fan or collector, then you absolutely have to have this collection. Have this in your collection. It's an excellent piece, and it really will show your Gears of War fandom. It's great to display, and it always looks impressive sitting there on the shelf. I've actually got this displayed in my game room at the moment, and whenever I walk past it, I think it looks absolutely impressive when it's sitting up there on my shelf. It just looks so cool. Now, these particular versions, since these were the first NECA Lancer released, this one's getting harder to find. You do see it occasionally, like on places like eBay, but overall you don't see it that often. Although even if you don't see it that often, when it does come up, it still doesn't go too high. Like, I think it's only about $100 to $200 depending on condition that you can pick this up for. And I think the gold lancers are even cheaper than that, the gold version of this. But I don't know, I think it's still an excellent piece, and if you don't have this already in your collection and you're a Gears of War fan or collector, then you definitely should look out for one of these to add to your game room. It's well worth the money. Looks amazing, really cool, and I mean, you could also use this for cosplay. If you were into cosplay and you were maybe playing one of the Gears characters, one of the Cog Soldiers, then absolutely you could use this as part of your cosplay costume. So that's an idea for you. Could be used as a toy if you like playing with it, but it is a very heavy toy and a very expensive one. But otherwise, it's best just to put on your shelf as a display piece, as it looks really impressive, and anyone that's into gaming will know exactly where that's from. That's a Gears of War Lancer. So it's not like you wouldn't know where it was from. It looks like a Lancer. It's really awesome detail, and I still love that blood splatter. It just looks so awesome. So you guys, that was the Gears of War Lancer made by NECA. Pretty awesome replica. Anyway guys, thanks for watching. I am Sharky Gamer. Don't forget to subscribe. I'll have heaps more gaming replicas and collectibles up very soon. If you like this video, hit that like button. It really helps out a lot, guys. And as always, feel free to leave a comment down below in the comments. And also share and favorite, as that helps spread my video around. Thanks for watching, guys.